Good evening and welcome in to another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Robert Hagan. Robert, what's up, man?
It is a great day. I am excited to be here. It is football season. I'm ready to get to call my very first PA football game this year. It's been a little tough as not been able to wasn't able to do the first home game, so I'm excited. A couple of home games here in the next couple of weeks, so jacked about that. And God, it's football weather. I just, with all the football going on, lots of stuff.
No one cares about football today.
We don't
talk about a lot of football.
We know what we're caring about today.
We're going to talk a lot of football. We're going to talk history basically being made in NASCAR, which is a pretty cool moment, which happened Monday, even though there's so many issues around it. Mm-hmm. But the winner was very, very cool to see. Obviously, playoffs for baseball have started today. You will see me looking over to my right most of the game. And if you are listening to us or watching us, on either our YouTube or Facebook pages over there at the R&R Sports Report, you're going to get a special gift because I'm going to be playing this clip over and over, and we can't do it for the radio, so I'll explain it to you after. But
just believe that the Yankees are going to win.
That's right. Addie keeps telling me just to breathe, the Yankees are going to win. So far, they are not. We are bottom of the third now, and the Yankees are down 2-0. So a long ways to go, and with that series, anything is between, obviously, Boston and the Yankees, anything can happen. So I'll be playing that just to calm myself throughout the rest of the show.
That's the thing. Anything can and normally does happen with that that series.
Yeah.
It's just always
like Stanton looking like he hit a no doubt home run that only went halfway up the green monster in the first inning. Yeah, anything can happen. Like the announcers even, well, he did it again. It wasn't even close. Stanton was walking it off. It wasn't even close.
I didn't look to see who the announcers were for that game.
Yeah, it's your normal ESPN buddies, Max Vaspersen, who I like, and A-Rod, who is awful. Let's see, what else are we doing today? I am so discombobulated today with everything going on. Oh, our sports-related draft. We've had so much fun with college football. I had picked doing the best helmets. You picked the best mascots. Again, nobody on Facebook. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for commenting and having fun with us on there. But no one tells us who won the draft, ever. So we just have to make up our own winners. So I win again.
No, I'm winning this week. I
won last week.
I know, but I'm winning this week. I already guarantee it.
That's not true. But so I wanted to have some fun, and in lieu of Joe West announcing he is finally retiring after this postseason, we are going to do our draft for the worst Major League Baseball umpires, which is only fitting as I already got mad at one of the umpires in the top of the first inning. So it's going to be a long show. I don't know how I'm going to make it. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I have a big feeling that the game will still be going on by the time the show is done, and then I have to go to work. So we're gonna make it.
It'll be interesting. It will be. It will be very interesting.
But let's distract ourselves, shall we, with some NFL Week 4 thoughts, ideas, opinions. I want to start with your team, just for the fact that they do it again. I want you to explain this.
Listen, you're gonna get on Fangio's bandwagon already.
No, I'm gonna get on the anyone with a brains bandwagon. Why are you risking it? You've had how many running backs go down to injury this year?
Right.
So the game is in hand, but God forbid we don't get to 100 rushing yards. So instead of kneeling the ball and just taking our win, making sure everyone is healthy, nope. We got to get 100 rushing yards in a game for 43 straight is far more important than staying healthy and making an actual Super Bowl run. Just like having the preseason win record was so more important than the 3 running backs it took to get to it.
Right.
So as a Ravens fan, defend, sir.
I would, it's been an important stat, but I'm like you. It's just that was the same thing that happened earlier in the preseason. It's the idea of winning. What was it, 19, 20 in a row? And you're 100% right. You look at the running back core now.
Yeah.
You've got Latavius Murray. You've got Le'Veon Bell, who they brought up off of the practice squad this last week. Freeman, I mean,
home run, Red Sox are up to
ooh.
Go ahead, continue.
I know they want to keep things, but why more injuries? So I actually am going to agree with you, but the tirade that he threw, it was a little much.
It wasn't a tirade. Those coaches have to go out there and answer questions the moment that game's done. Obviously, Denver is frustrated to lose a quarterback at the end of the first quarter. Drew Lock is garbage. And then you have to go answer these questions after you felt disrespected. That's a disrespectful move by Harbaugh. Just straight and simple. And you sitting there going, oh, the record is important. No one knew about this record.
I knew about this record, but I'm a Ravens fan. So
Did you know before this happened?
Yes, I did. Because we've had every game. Yeah, it's been a long time. I couldn't tell you exactly the start. I didn't know. I knew it was like 30, mid-30s, late 30s.
Call it 42 or 43 now, so you didn't even know.
Well, I knew it was a long streak, yes.
You had no clue. And yes, you can get 100 yards a bunch, and they'll talk about it, but no one cared except for Harbaugh. I love how he goes, oh, no, the players wanted it. And Lamar Jackson went, I had no clue. It's all him, and it just – he is going to be the reason you don't ever win a Super Bowl with him as a head coach again, because he cares more about statistical records than winning. Facts? Yeah, facts. Let's continue on to winning. And how about the Arizona Cardinals, who played in the only game that was between two 3-0 teams, and they dominated on the road. They win it 37-20, and it didn't even really feel that close. This is no knock on the Rams. I think the Rams are still one of those front runners as far as winning the NFC, but they just didn't have it. The defense for the Cardinals impressed me completely. Like that, I think that's where I underrated this team, was on their defensive side. I thought they're going to be able to put up points but get into shootouts. Their defense played really, really well. The run game is fantastic with Edmonds and Connor. Kyler Murray is kind of taking that next step that he needs.
I mean, the defense looked good.
Mm-hmm.
They had 0 sacks, though, but they're growing into themselves. I mean, you get Hicks and Wilson and Baker. I mean, every one of the plays you watch them, they were flying to the ball. They were getting there. So they looked great, to the point that I think they might just be probably the best team currently, not just in the NFC, but also the whole NFL. I mean, just the way they played, it just unbelievable.
And you can see that we agree on that by checking out the power rankings over there at the R&R Sports Report on Facebook page.
Yeah, that wasn't easy this week. I mean, they just looked that good. I mean, and it seemed very balanced, over 268 yards passing, 216 yards rushing. I mean, they just looked balanced, everything from the other side of the ball, and playing a great team that has been extremely hot, with Cooper Kupp, Jefferson looking good. I mean, they didn't play a rag team at all.
No.
So I really think that this ball club has got a lot going for them. And I really think, and I'm trying to remember, I'm pulling up here who they play next week.
Yeah, 49ers.
49ers, that's what I was just looking at, yeah. And
All right, Parker.
I think that could be another huge thing. I think it's going to be the point of, can they dominate the entire NFC West? And I think they've got a strong chance.
No idea about dominating. That division is far too big to quote unquote dominate.
Well, I think they are probably the the team of that division.
They might be the best team in the division. We're only 4 games in. We got 13 more to go, and anything can go down. But I believe both of us had them in last in our preseason picks. I think both of us feel pretty sheepish about that now.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So, but I don't know if I am now going dead set. They are my favorites to win the NFC West, but they definitely have a far better chance than I was giving them credit for just 2 weeks ago. Let's talk the main story that was going into the week. The game. Come on, Cole. Just man.
That good again?
It's another walk. He's walked the last 2.
I have to tell you really quick, Parker this is Big Nuggy, or excuse me, Little Nuggy. Little Nuggy plays football for me, 7th grader. So glad some of those kids are watching. So thank you for hanging out after practice.
I bet Parker had no idea about the Ravens running record that they were going on.
I bet you he might have. I don't know.
Not that he doesn't know his sports, but it's just a pointless stat. But I thought the game, I think, kind of got messed up with how the downpour that was going on in Foxborough kind of just took the fun out of it, because Tampa Bay definitely felt off on offense, whether it was the rain, whether it was Tom being completely distracted or just, emotionally hyped up. But I thought that New England was extremely classy with everything they did in the pre-show. I heard that they were planning on stopping the game for the record, and then I heard it got messed up. We were bowling, so we missed that part. But I was told he landed right on the record, and then they moved the ball up a foot, so it actually gave him the record, but nobody really realized it, I guess. I missed that part. But my biggest takeaway from this game, other than the cool moment, Mac Jones. He had his hiccup. All rookies are going to have their hiccups. But he played really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game, and that we'll get to that here in a minute. I'm going to bring him up again. I just think that he is doing quite well, and I'm glad that they started him off in the first part of the season. I figured when we did our pre-stuff, I had him at the week 2, and so I'm excited that he is making a name for himself. I'm excited that he is going to be that guy in the future. Does he have a lot of growing pains yet to go? Yes, he's got a ton of growing to do, but he's going to be one of those kids that's going to be I want to watch when in the next 5-10 years. I think he's going to be that kind of guy.
And it was a good day, I think, for most rookie quarterbacks. We'll talk about the rookie quarterback for the Jets here shortly. But Justin Fields had a bit of a better game. Trevor Lawrence looked pretty good on Thursday night. They do lose to Cincinnati, but it wasn't his fault by any means. So, listen, the rookies, it's going to take some growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Mac Jones, so far through 4 weeks, has been the best of the bunch.
He only missed 9 passes in a rainy Foxborough.
Yeah.
So, 31 of 40. And only have 1 interception in that rain. I'll take that all day long.
All right, let's talk about the New York teams both getting their first win of the year, both in overtime. Which one do you want to hit first?
Let's go the opposite one. Let's go with your the mighty Giants.
They're not mine. Mine.
Your New Yorks. Your New Yorks. They're all together.
But before that, Garrett Cole has already been pulled out of the game, which makes me once again allow those that are watching on Facebook and YouTube to help me calm down.
Just believe that the Yankees are going to win.
I'm losing faith a little bit, Addie, but we're doing our best, all right? It's just down 3-0 with the first 2 on, nobody out in the third, and we've already lost Cole. Holmes is pitching. Okay, cool. Giants, where were we?
Giants get their first win.
This is going to be a show. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be an interesting show. Daniel Jones, 400 yards passing, looked okay. I'm still not sold on him at all. I think it's nice to see Barkley continue to take those steps forward. I think he's still not 100% off of his ACL tear last year, but I do give the Giants credit for how they're using him and building him up. I know deep down a lot of Giants fans believe they could make the playoffs because of how weak the NFC East looked. But if you're Joe Judge, you don't want to then lose him in the first couple of weeks by using him too much. So just building him up and hoping for that stretch run in late October, November, December is far more important than having Barkley have 30 carries every game in September. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that you're getting ready to play Dak Prescott this coming week, Zeke Elliott. How is Daniel Jones going to compare? I think Saquon looked a lot better in the passing game this week than he did in the run game. It just seemed like he was able to get out in space a little bit easier. And that
he had the big one. He had the big
54-yarder. Was huge, but he just looked like he flowed out of the backfield a little bit better than he has been.
Most running backs. That's Alvin Kamara for you, which hasn't been happening at all this year. But you get him out into space and let him make a move, and that's where Barkley's able to really dominate.
And that's where Kamara's Kamara, and I think that's where he's struggling just a bit. He's only got 2 touchdowns, and both of them have been in the passing game. He's still looking for a rushing touchdown, 4 games in. Mm-hmm. So these quarterbacks are just saying, we're going to throw the ball. We're going to keep throwing the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, before we get to the other New York team, talk about the NFC East for a minute. Did we possibly underrate some of these teams? Like, the Eagles are definitely struggling, and I think they're as bad as advertised. The Giants are kind of down there as well. Washington is 2-2, and their defense still stinks compared to what we thought it was going to be. If their defense can get things figured out, Washington could be better than we thought. And listen, we don't want to say this. Dallas Cowboys might be good.
Yeah. Don't tell Wilson. Don't tell Pam. They have looked really good the last couple of weeks, and I think this week might be, a little bit of a proving week if Dallas can go into, division play, as they, I believe, are in New York. So it'll be interesting. But I think I'm going to give a little bit more credit to Philadelphia because Jalen Hurts has looked good. The defense has not looked good. I mean, Jalen's putting up some numbers, and you're excited. What happened?
Double play got out of the inning.
You got excited.
Double play. The Yankees got out of the inning. We're good. We're okay. Now we got to get some runs.
Well, we hope.
I need Addy to get a chant going for giving up some
channel the inner child, and she's going to bring this team back, huh?
We need something. We'll take whatever I can get. All right, my New York Jets. Let's talk about them. I wish they could learn how to play in the first half. Mm-hmm. Please, can we please start a little faster? But that fourth quarter was so much fun. Back and forth between the Titans and the Jets. I get it. No A.J. Brown. No Julio Jones. I was blanking on the second wide receiver. They didn't have either of their top 2 wide receivers. I get it. Henry still gets 157 yards on the ground, scores a touchdown there. We're still King Henry. But the Jets beat a playoff team from last year. The Jets beat a team that was 2-1 going into this game. Yes, again, they're beat up. Perfect time to play them. I wish they could run the ball a little bit better. That'll come in time. Man, this is a Zach Wilson that the Jets were excited to draft. Right. I told you keep it boring. And you need to for the most part. But every so often, when he's able to roll out and you see him directing traffic and then throwing 50, 60 yards down the field just effortlessly over the defense to Corey Davis or the one to Keenan Cole, gets you a little excited.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And for him to be only 1 yard less than Tannehill. Tannehill goes 298, Wilson 297. But I think the bigger thing for me in watching, and I just got to watch highlights of that as you and I talked about a few minutes ago or earlier in the week, we had the grandkids, and so watching, didn't get to watch much. But the thing that stood out for me, he was only sacked one time. Yes, he was rushed a little bit.
Yeah, he had to run for his life sometimes.
He had to run for his life some, but to only go down one time says a lot about who he is. And like you were saying, he was moving, directing traffic. So I think the guys are starting to buy into him. I think
honestly, it's not just buying in. I think a huge thing for the Jets was Jamison Crowder coming back. Mm-hmm. First time he came in, he can be that safety blanket. He can be, obviously he's nothing like Christian McCaffrey, but he can be what Christian McCaffrey is now for Sam Darnold for Zach Wilson. He gets 7 catches, 61 yards. He was always that guy that, okay, he's not open. Crowder is over here. And I know he's going to be reliable. And that is going to be very big for a young quarterback. To have that guy that even though he's not your main target or your secondary target, that no matter what's happening, he's going to get into a position to help you at least make a competitive throw. Right. And by the way, Parker is my new favorite person.
I know.
Let's go Yankees.
I've been giving Nuggy a bad time at school because he's been wearing his New York Yankees mask.
And Haley's saying they're glad there's no bug in the game. Just playing the show last night and was in extra innings in a 0-0 game. And there's a bug in the show, in the video game, where 98% of my errors are trying to turn 2. And just throwing to second base for whatever reason just creates an error. And it happened to me back-to-back plays. It was I said a bad word. I was calm after that, but I said a good.
You mean you've had time to play?
It's not often.
I haven't had time to even get the new Madden or any or MLB.
Madden. So. I think Madden's crap. Let's see. Let's throw a bone and talk Seahawks.
All right, now
here's my favorite thing is everyone was trying to figure out the conspiracy of why Facebook went down for a few hours yesterday.
Is that why you started texting me on
yeah, because my messenger didn't work.
See, I was trying to figure that out. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he got mad.
I was trying to get a hold of you, but
again.
Facebook and Messenger. I've never been banned from social media.
No, you got mad at social media.
But even then, I keep Messenger. I mean, that's how I contact people. I'll get rid of Facebook because Facebook's kind of bad. But, everyone's trying to figure out the conspiracy theory. Right. Why did Facebook go down? Was it this whistleblower thing that was on 60 Minutes? Was it some government conspiracy? No. Facebook went down from all the flip-flopping that the Seahawks fans did on Sunday. My Facebook timeline at like 1:30 was just, woe is us. We are terrible. Everything sucks. This team is terrible. To the point where even one guy just posted, oh, well, that happened. For a fan base that thought the Legion of Boom was the greatest defense of all time and overhyped the Seahawks to nauseum, they have turned on this team so fast. Yet they get the win on the road, beat the 49ers 28-21.
I was more interested in, my game was on in the afternoon, so it was a little rough trying to watch it and trying to watch Mariners and coming down to the finals. So I mean, I put full baseball on. Mm-hmm. It was nothing about even watching. I watched my third quarter of my Ravens game, but going back watching highlights. How can you survive on a roller coaster? Basically, is what it feels like
right now.
Yeah, I mean that's what that Seahawks game to me felt like at the beginning of the kind of a roller coaster. We sucked, and it didn't seem like there was a good flow in there, and so
didn't they go like 3 and out their first 5 drives, or they got 1 first down in their first 5 drives? It just took them a while to get going. I'm seeing that a lot actually in the National Football League. The Jets are that way. The Seahawks are that way. We saw the Raiders be that way on Monday night. It took them till the second half to get going. The Bengals didn't score a single point in the first half of their game against Jacksonville. There's just teams that, for whatever reason, are taking a little bit to get going.
Let's get 3 and out. Then San Francisco scores a touchdown in 8 plays. 3 and out. I don't care about
San Francisco.
3 and out. 3 and out. 3 and out. and then 6 plays for a touchdown. So yeah, 5 of them.
Yeah, just so everyone was freaking out because they just couldn't get anything going. But bigger news that came out of that game: Jimmy Garoppolo has a calf injury. Last I heard, they were still unsure with his availability this week. Trey Lance came in, looked okay, but again, I mean, just getting thrown to the fire that way. There was going to be no determination whether he was fantastic or not from that half that we saw. But it could be interesting if we see him going forward now.
Now, I was just say, because talking with a couple of Niner fans that work in the district with me, we were talking the last 2 days, and that's all they were talking about. He only knows maybe a quarter of the playbook. Maybe a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So now what happens going into this next week, and what's the possibilities of him playing a great game against Arizona? I mean, that's in Arizona.
It's tough.
It's going to be almost feeling of basically throwing to the wolves. So, I don't mean to pick on them very much, but I mean, that's what it's going to seem like if Jimmy G doesn't get back. And it goes back to my pick at the very beginning of the year. I thought that Lance was going to sit the entire year, and then next year would be his team and Jimmy G.
Looking at the 49ers schedule, yes, the Yankees go 1, 2, 3. That's fantastic. When do you put Trey Lance in, or are you just saying don't do it for the rest of the year? Because you look at the schedule, they're at Arizona. That like I said, the defense is better than I was giving them credit for. You get the Colts, which it's a winnable game, but their defense is pretty good. The Bears, do you want them to face Khalil Mack? Then you get Arizona again. Then you get the Rams. So the next 5 are rough as far as defenses go. So either throw them to the fire or wait. I mean, obviously, if Garoppolo cannot go, then you just got to stick with whatever you got.
Exactly, because I think the next easiest would probably be against Jacksonville the week before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's going to have to learn quick. I mean, they're going to have to expand that playbook a little bit different. He better be still sitting there right now in the quarterback's room working on stuff at 6:30 at night. He has to. He has to.
Put in the time. All right, let's play a little game here. Where we were right, where we were wrong. Colin Cowherd does this every so often. I figured I would steal it because we are 4 weeks in. Usually this is the quarter mark of a normal NFL season. NFL's kind of messed things up here for us, but
we already talked about that. There is no new normal anymore.
No, there's nothing.
Period.
Just get used to whatever happens. And next week the normal will be different.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to look at our preseason predictions that we made right here on the show, and we're going to pick one that we feel we've nailed so far, one that we are completely being a Seattle Seahawks fan and flip-flopping on, and one that hasn't been proven yet, but we're sticking with it. All right? Which one do you want to go first? You want to be positive or negative?
I want to go negative because I need to just say it. I need to admit it. I need to get it off my chest.
I will let you go first.
And I was so wrong with this team. I thought, they were going to finally do something and be somewhat of a competitor, and it just not happening. And for me, I was wrong on the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, 1-3. Yes, they're still third. Yes, we're 4 games in, but they just don't seem to be proving anything big. I mean, they come away with a win versus the Seahawks because the Seahawks imploded, but the games they've lost have been close games.
And to very, very good teams.
And the Bengals, yes, Joe Burrow is looking quite well with Chase and all them. Seahawks, they just blew away. They lose the Cardinals by 1. They lose the Browns by 7.
And this one was rough. Obviously, it was a very, very rough game to watch. Cleveland wins that one 14-7.
But
I was distracted. Yeah. But so they lose that 4. So that's the only time where I felt like they didn't play very well.
Right.
And you have Cook, who's coming off of his injury, didn't look 100%. A little bit of communication there. Cousins didn't look great. But
they should be able to get their next win, which is Panthers this week, or I'm sorry, the Lions this week. Then they get the Panthers, whether or not Christian McCaffrey, I saw his stuff got bumped up today that he is now questionable. I doubt he plays really. But then you run into the Cowboys who have been playing hot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get the Ravens
who will be more worried about a record than a win. So that's a win.
Then you get the Chargers, the Packers, the Niners. I mean, they have
that schedule is rough.
A rough schedule, and I think they might even have the worst schedule in the year. I think so.
I would have to do a little bit of research, but
I was wrong.
We've already kind of talked about mine. I was wrong about the Arizona Cardinals. Fully admit that. I had them in last place, possibly even finishing under 500. I take that back, and I apologize to all Cardinals fans. How about we were right? I'm going to stick with mine real quick because it's in the same line with Arizona. Right. The NFC West is the best division in football right now. Seattle is struggling, but they're still 2-2. San Francisco kind of up in the air. But the Rams and the Cardinals, I think, are both in our top 4 in our power rankings. Seattle and San Francisco are not far behind. Every other division at least has that one crap team.
Right.
Except for maybe the AFC West.
I would say the AFC West. Maybe, and I'm going to AFC North, but Ben Roethlisberger looks like garbage. So, yeah, I mean, 100%. 2 of our teams, we were no-brainers, both of us jumping right on Arizona. So I think that division has the best chance of making a big run, and I just like Arizona's finally proven me wrong too. The last couple of years I've had them just right behind. It's time for Murray to take that next step and be that leader, and I just like what he's doing. So I think you're right. You're 100% right.
Oh, you're right.
So I was off by a week. But I did say Mac Jones was going to start by week 2. He did start the start of the season. He has looked, like we said earlier, probably the best rookie quarterback so far this season. Mm-hmm. He just seems to be putting up, and he's getting a better feel each week. He looks a little bit better each week. Footwork and just going through the plays, going through the motion. He's just looking that much better. So, yes, I was off by a week, but that's a win for me.
No, you're wrong. You said week 2. You got week 1, so you lose.
Horse hockey.
How about the one you are still sticking with?
I'm still sticking with the AFC North. Is going to finish Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh looks like garbage.
So bad.
Oh my God!
I think you nailed that one.
Yeah.
As far as the Pittsburgh one, the other 3 we will see. Cincinnati, all of a sudden. Hey. If they could get things rolling a little bit, we'll see what happens with Joe Mixon. He's a little banged up, but
I think the relationship between Burrow and Chase has been huge with that ball club. You're exactly right. Mixon, they've got to get a little bit more out of the running game with him, but he, like you said, banged up a little, so it'll be interesting. Baltimore, now you've got 3 guys that are running in Baltimore that were not even on the starting roster, was not even in the preseason roster, now part of your starting roster. It's going to be tough, but Cleveland's proven that they're going to be one of these teams to reckon with over the next few years. So I lean best AFC division has to be the AFC North.
I disagree because you have a shit team in Pittsburgh. And I apologize for my language there, but Pittsburgh is awful.
Yes, they are.
They're nowhere close to the AFC West.
3-1, 3-1, 3-1. The other guy in the AFC West is 2-2, and that is Kansas City.
Yeah, which is still the best team in that division.
Kansas City. Who would have figured Kansas City in the bottom of that division right now?
Right, and I guarantee you, 0 Chiefs fans are worried.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. 0.
That division is just gross. As a Jets fan, you just look at it and go, well, I mean, at some point we could fight for a wild card. Oh, wait, never mind. It's going to take 12 wins anymore with some of these divisions and how good some of these teams are. Obviously, I'm
And-
not saying the Jets are going to contend for a wild card this year.
Listen,
That's
we get
not happening.
we get the Chargers in 2 weeks, and then we get I forget the Rams the week before the last week, so week 17. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna come down to I know. It's gonna come down to rough.
No crying from me. My prediction that I am sticking with, it's Zach Wilson winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. If I had to pick the Offensive Rookie of the Year right now, it would not be Zach Wilson. It would be Chase from Cincinnati. I think as a wide receiver, he has been fantastic. And he and Joe Burrow have just connected extremely well. And I think he has really changed everything over there in Ohio. Do I think Zach Wilson has been the best rookie quarterback so far? No. I've already said that. It is the kid in New England. Straight up, give him full credit, Mr. Mac Jones. But Zach Wilson is showing signs, and I think it's going to get a little bit better, get a little bit of momentum. Little worried about Sunday. They're playing a weaker team in Atlanta, which on paper, I think the Jets match up very well with. Here's the thing I am worried about, and I will tell you right now, I am debating even picking them to win. That game is in London.
Right. Early morning.
You have a young team, and I will be hammering this home all year long, but the Jets' average age is under 25. This young team just got their first win. Had just a huge party in the locker room, having a good time. Now I have to get on a plane, and for most of them, it's their first time leaving the country.
Sure.
And now you're going to ask this young team, off of their first win and how hyped they are, to go to a whole different country that they're going to for the first time and focus on a football game. I'm worried. I think the Jets on paper are better than Atlanta, but that situation alone has me tentative.
Yeah, and you look at that. I just pulled up what even Vegas is thinking. They're giving Vegas a 3-point. That's it. So for me, that's almost
Falcons.
Didn't I say that? Atlanta.
You said Vegas.
Well, Vegas is giving Atlanta 3.
Yeah, you said Vegas is giving Vegas,
Yeah.
which is actually a team now. So maybe you
Exactly.
can buy into it.
So yeah, for me, that's pretty much a coin flip. So I like what Zach Wilson is doing. I'm worried Matt Ryan just doesn't. He just hasn't looked himself. But I mean, he's getting old. I know he's playing for a contract, but for me, I'm going to lean. I'm going to lean Jets on this one. So
I don't know. I haven't decided my picks yet. That is for tomorrow, but we will see. You are listening to the R&R Sports Report right here on KLCZ 88.9 FM Lewiston. You can also check us out on the R&R Sports Report Facebook and YouTube pages to watch me have a nervous breakdown, and you get to watch this cute video for the third time.
Just believe that the Yankees are gonna win.
Adeline.
The Pathfinder is having a meeting on October 6th. That's tomorrow, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Come get involved and learn how to contribute to the paper and make some extra cash. The meeting would be held at the Student Union Building, room 219. So don't forget to be here tomorrow, 3 o'clock, for all you students.
There you go. Update on this game that has me going nuts. It's actually in the 5th inning. It's going quick.
Mhm.
I'm surprised by this. Yankees are still down 3-0. Batting here in the top of the 5th. Eovaldi has looked fantastic. I do have to say I was having fun. I was working at the Tribune last night, and we kind of had that slow down time after the games got done and waiting for the paper to get put together. And I was looking on ESPN.com, and they had their experts picking who was going to win these games. And one expert, they asked them for this game, who wins the game and how long does it take? Because historically, Yankees-Red Sox games take a while.
Yeah.
His favorite was one guy goes, Yankees win 4-3 in 11 hours and 43 minutes. It's like, so
another
this
rain delay
going
or
fast
something?
is, but no, just Yankees and Red Sox take forever. All right, give me your player of the week, sir.
I was back and forth because I wanted to go a defensive guy. I wanted to go a defensive guy on your team because he had 10 tackles. I was going to say C.J. Mosley, but you just look at what Daniel Jones did. 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, 27 yards rushing. He got his first win of the season. So I'm going to go that way. As much as I want to give an honorable mention there to C.J. Mosley, he looked good with those 10 solo tackles there on Sunday.
Sadly, he wasn't even the best Jets defender. I shouldn't say sadly; it was great. Williams was.
Yeah,
just
I think he had.
fire.
I think he had 9 tackles.
As far as tackles go, but he just was everywhere. Like every time there was a big play, Williams was right in the middle of it. For me, it's Tyreek Hill. Was struggling the last 2 weeks. Had a total of 8 receptions and 70 yards, and no touchdowns his last 2 games. Kansas City needing that pick me up after losing to the Chargers. 11 catches, 186 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Hill. Anybody that was worried about Tyreek Hill shouldn't be worried anymore. But that does bring me to an interesting question. Le'Veon Bell, obviously, showing up for your team.
Right.
Josh Gordon activated for Kansas City to play this week. Bell didn't do much for the Ravens. Does Gordon do anything for KC?
I wouldn't think so, but I mean that gives him another target. But how much longer is he gonna? I mean, what kind of chances they gonna give him if he gets in trouble again? I mean, how many more times can he keep doing this?
My Chiefs friend Robert Taylor, who listens from time to time, did have a good point. They don't test for marijuana anymore.
No,
that was his problem every time.
Right.
So he might last.
He might, yeah, maybe, but it just by this time, what is he now? 31, 32, I think.
I don't know if he'll be any good, but
yeah,
I don't think he'll get in trouble.
I don't think
he's been getting in trouble for.
I don't think he'll make a huge difference. So.
All right, so that was our players of the week. For our game of the week, I'll be a homer. Jets Titans. I thought that fourth quarter was fantastic. There's 29 total points scored in the final period, which pushed them into overtime. Jets drive all the way down, get to the 1. Zach Wilson makes the rookie mistake of running himself out of bounds instead of just throwing it away at the last second. So they push themselves from the 1 yard line to the 4 yard line, takes out any chance of going forward on 4th. They kick the field goal, which was a scary-looking field goal. Titans drive all the way down, give themselves a decent field goal opportunity with like 6 seconds left. So it was either a tie or a Jets win, and he hooked it left, and Jets get their first win. But it was very, very entertaining. So that's my game of the week. What about you?
Well, I was up near Davenport on Thursday and trying to listen to this game. You got to give me the Jags in Cincinnati. Thursday night football game. It comes down to the final kick. Cincinnati was behind going into the second half. Another deep sigh. But Cincinnati scored all 24 points in the second half. Joe Burrow looked really good. Only missed on 7 completions. He was 342 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both of them went to Ozuma. But then to come down, and I think probably the best thing, and I'm trying to listen to it while calling the Asotin Davenport game, so I'm listening a little bit in the pouring down rain, and for Evan McPherson to hit a 35-yarder, 10 plays, and to take 5.5 minutes off against that team to just work their way down. It was great to listen to. It was even better to rewatch the highlights. But I think these are the top 2 games, finals that came in.
Yeah.
So
there was a couple other good games, but for sure. What is your game to watch next week?
It's got to be San Francisco and Arizona. I think it's going to see if Trey Lance is going to have a great game or not, if Arizona can keep going, and how long the last undefeated team will survive. So I like that matchup.
Give me the Sunday night football game. Bills, Chiefs, possible AFC Championship preview. 2 of the best teams in the league at Arrowhead. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be high scoring. The last game I thought was going to be high scoring ended up being, 21-19 last Sunday night. It was not very high scoring. So we will see some other good games. Your team on Monday night against the Colts. That could be an interesting one. Giants, Cowboys, no matter what the record is. That game is always fun. 2, 3-1 teams in the Browns and the Chargers go at it. That's going to be a good game. Looking through Saints and Washington, kind of in a prove yourself kind of a situation there. That could be interesting as well. Again, the Jets and Falcons are playing in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. And then your Thursday game, a big NFC West divisional rivalry, is the Rams will take on the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, the Rams favored by 2.5, according to ESPN.com. What do you got?
Give me. I'm going to take the visitors. I'm going to take the Rams. I think they come into Seattle and get back into it after having a tough game this last weekend. So give me the Rams.
What is my favorite saying?
There's many. There's a few.
That has anything to do with this game.
Give them the home team, right?
Home team on Thursday night. Anytime that the game is close on paper, give me the home team.
They'll figure
on Thursday. If this game was on Sunday, I would pick the Rams to win. It's on Thursday. Seahawks will pull off the little bit of a minor upset. Luis Severino now in the game on the mound, bottom of the fifth. Boston still leading 3-0. Yankees bats are non-existent. All right, give us a local roundup, sir.
All right, so this last week, Lewiston looking to get back on the winning track after struggling a bit against Sandpoint this last week. So it was good to see them pick up the win, 48-13 over Moscow for senior night. Cruz Hepburn and the rushers for Lewiston over 255 yards rushing. Hepburn had 10 carries for 130, while MacArthur also had 10 carries for 88 yards. Also, MacArthur had 199 yards passing. I believe he had 3 touchdown passes in that game. So it was good to see the Bengals get back on the winning streak after that tough loss to Sandpoint the week before. Bengals now 5-1 on the season. So I have another tough matchup this weekend as they will host Falls Friday at Bengal Field. That'll start at 7:00. Your Clarkson Bantams win their third straight over Rogers, as it was Rogers' homecoming. That was a special trip for me. I had a fun trip up there with that one. Gonzaga Prep is where they played that game, so nice facility there. Got to watch things, and big thing for that, and you and I messaged back and forth there towards the end. 5 different players scored for Clarkson. Carter Steinwand had 4 touchdown passes. Tiger Carringer and Kaika Milan, both over 100 yards rushing, each with a touchdown. Landon Taylor, another great night for him. He just seems to be that go-to target for Carter. So it is a great thing. Right now, Clarkson listed, and I mean, there's so many variables anymore with GSL, how they align. Right now, they do have Clarkson leading that one as they have won all of their conference games. So they are leading in that one, and they will be hosting in the East Valley Knights, who are 2-1 on the season, for homecoming on Friday. Come down and listen to me call that game there at Adams Field. That'll kick off at 7 p.m. Soton has a real tough loss on Thursday. That game got moved up because of the officiating.
Such an issue around here.
Officiating, and that's one thing we're worried about tomorrow is officials for our game for the junior high. Hopefully that gets all solved here. But Soton goes on the road. We have a 20-minute weather delay because of lightning, and finally able to get that game kicked off about 25 after 7 there in Davenport.
Did you guys play indoors like the Chargers did?
No.
With their lightning delay?
No, we got drenched. We were outside, so trying to do the game outside in the pouring rain, and the one box up there has only enough room for the PA, the clock, and the 2 coaches that stand in there for Davenport. The rest of us were all on top of the box getting drenched on. So Soden gives up the opening drive touchdown on a 60-yard run, and they go scoreless all the way to the fourth quarter, where Soden does give up 13 more points. They run kind of a wishbone offense that was just crazy to watch. Both of myself and Pete Williams, losing track of the ball because they were the way we're running multiple handoffs between leads, sweeps around. It was a crazy game to watch them run, but Soden held it in check until about midway through the fourth quarter, and then the wheels kind of fall off. But the Panthers will be hosting Northwest Christian on Friday, also 7 p.m. So you got 3 home games in 3 towns. So pick which game you want to go to. Go check out some local sports. Again, Panthers hosting Northwest Christian, the Bengals hosting Post Falls, and the Bantams hosting East Valley.
All right, let's look at your college roundup, and let's start with LCSC volleyball. We talked last week when we had Jada Wims on about how tough this weekend was going to be for the Warriors. 2 very, very tough opponents on the road. Didn't go LC's way. They do get beat in straight sets against now number 6 Corbin, and then they had just a hard-fought match with Bushnell on Saturday. They lose that one 3-1, but in all 4 sets, both teams have reached at least 20 points. All 4 sets were extremely competitive, but the Warriors do lose both of their games this last weekend. They are now 11-8 on the year, 6-5 in conference, which currently has them 5th in the Cascade Conference. And I checked with Alicia because I know last year things got all wonky with all the COVID stuff, so only 4 teams made the regional playoffs. There are 6 teams that make the regional playoffs in the Cascade Conference. So right now, Warriors will be making it into the playoffs. They would like to have a far better seed than 5th right now. Another difficult weekend, not as much, but still will be really interesting to see what the Warriors do. On Friday, they are at Oregon Tech, who is 12-4, 8-3 in conference, and currently sitting 4th in the Cascade Conference. That'll be Friday at 7 p.m. And then Saturday at 7 p.m., they will take on Southern Oregon, who was a ranked team coming in, but a lot of injuries have kind of messed up their season. They are 9-7 on the year, 4-7 in conference, and currently 9th in the Cascade Conference. And that's a very, very good team trying to get themselves back into the playoffs. So it's going to be a tough one again for the Warriors, but I think they're up for it. For LCSC golf, the Warrior women finished 3rd in the Culturama, Classic in Canby, Oregon. So congratulations to those women. Alexandra Schmidt finished tied for 3rd. Kyla Curry finished tied for 10th. Both the men and the women play next on October 17th and 18th at the Bushnell Invitational. And a big shout out to friend of the show, Devin Caruso, who was on 2 shows ago. And ended up winning the Warrior Invitational. He was also named the Cascade Conference WVT Laboratory Golfer of the Week.
That's a mouthful to say for just being the Golfer of the Week.
I don't know why I added the rest. I should have just said Cascade Conference Golfer of the Week, but I like saying laboratory. Are you a laboratory or a laboratory guy?
Laboratory.
You just say it wrong. Laboratory is just so much more fun to say. I think maybe it's because I grew up watching Dexter's Laboratory.
Maybe that's what, yeah.
And it has just been stuck in my head. That is how I say it. So there you go. And again, congratulations to Devin for being the Golfer of the Week. Good luck to the volleyball team on Friday and Saturday. So that's your LC sports news. WSU got a win. And the world went.
Pretty much.
Cougars are now 2-3 on the year after they defeat California 21-6. Good to see Delora back. I thought he played pretty well. The only thing I want to bring up, though, Calvin Jackson Jr.
Dude, his picture was all over the place on Sunday morning.
As it should have been. Is that not the catch of the year?
I think so, 100%. It was first ruled incomplete, and then they go back and look at it. Man, he's got some hops. He to stretch out, able to bring down that right foot and make the catch. Yeah, right now, by far, he is leading catch of the year.
Yeah, I don't think I got enough national coverage. I know it ended up on the ESPN top 10, but I don't think it was high enough. I think because I don't think it was first. But there you go. That was the big news for WSU. Nice job to keep California scoreless the last 3 quarters as well. And I just would like to see a Yankee touch the ball right now. That's all I'm asking. Just touch it, please. Next for WSU, they take on Oregon State at home. Oregon State's 4-1 on the year. That game is at 1 p.m. How about Idaho? What'd you think?
It was a rough day. I didn't get to see anything. Idaho does give up 14 points. I did watch a little bit of replay on that. Gives up 14 points in the fourth quarter to fall to UC Davis, who just seems to be one of those dominant teams in the Big Sky. UC now 5-0, and they win that game 27-20. Cummings had 125 yards, and Trainer also 131 yards catching. Portland State is who they will face this next week at the Kibbe Dome on Saturday. Portland State is 2-3 on the season, and that game will kick off at 2 p.m. So besides lots of high school stuff, both college teams will be up in their respective areas this weekend.
Rizzo.
Oh, really?
Solo shot. We're down by 2. How about Eastern Washington? Because big win for them. It helped me tie you in our weekly picks. However, I didn't watch a single play because I refuse to watch a game on the worst field in the country.
Would you rather watch that field or the Smurf Blue?
Smurf Blue all day long.
And what's the other one with the green?
Eastern Michigan? Or Eastern Michigan kind of has like a gray one.
Yeah.
All the teams have a green one.
Well, it's substantially different green.
Oregon used to have that kind of two-tone, like every 5 yards thing. I want to say Eastern Michigan kind of has a gray.
It's a different color.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I did end up watching that game in the evening, and it turned out to be the game that we thought it was going to be. Eastern gets the big win, 34-28, scored 24 points in the fourth quarter. They were down, but Eric Berrier, he comes up just a little short to 3 back-to-back weeks of 500 yards. Plus, he does throw for 422 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But for me, I think Lemu Jones was probably the biggest star before he got hurt. Had 11 receptions, 231 yards, then gets hurt in the fourth quarter. They still have not said what the major, if it was just an ankle sprain. I was looking at pregame or pre-show tonight. Still have not said anything. Eastern has not released anything. Nothing from the Spokane papers. Nothing Spokane news. So, as a lot of the guys were going in to check on him after they took him into the tent, Berrier went over there and talked with him. Still no idea if he will be there to take on the 2-3 Northern Colorado team on the road. So it'll be interesting to see if they can extend it out. They are now 5-0, looking to make it 6-0.
By the way, I was correct. And I'm
Was
happy with myself. Ryerson Stadium in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Is that a place? Is that how you say that? I don't know. For the Eastern Michigan Eagles, it is nicknamed the Factory, and it is gray. It's the other NCAA Division I. It's an FBS school. Of course, let's see other football fields that are colored differently other than the 3 we just talked about. Oh, we forgot Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers, Brooks Stadium.
Say that again.
The Chanticleers.
Okay.
Nicknamed the Smurf Turf. It's teal. Maybe that's the one you were thinking of. It's a weird, different kind of a color. Also, if you look at NCAA Division III, Luther College has a blue field. That was in 2017. It was the first non-green field in NCAA Division III. Central Arkansas and Lindenwood Lindenwood, an NAIA team, and Central Arkansas, an NCAA Division I FCS team, have won completely bonkers with theirs. Central Arkansas is alternating every 5 yards, but their colors are purple and gray. Lindenwood is alternating every 5 yards, and it's red and gray. A lot of blues. New Haven has a blue field. There's a field in Tokyo, Japan that is blue. They were granted a special permission and an international trademark from Boise State to use the blue turf.
Yeah, that's just interesting. I know right now the Bantams, if we ever get a new high school and they're
not going to go to a turf, are they?
They are talking going turf. I've seen a couple different layouts. They're talking turf. It'll be interesting to see what happens. As they do play, they did play on the turf up there at Gonzaga Prep this last week. They have played at Martin Stadium last year, so it'll be interesting to see.
I was one of those guys that used Bantam's football field when we were playing pickup games because it was easy to get into, and it was a football field, so it was fantastic. I don't want to play on turf.
No, it'll be interesting to see, but we got to get the bond passed, which I know they were having a meeting already starting this week, starting to work on bond stuff.
By the way, if you go full red, I'm never coming to a Clarkson game again. You are listening to the R&R Sports Report right here on KLCC 88.9 FM Lewis, and currently it's 69 degrees. Duke, if you're listening, you're welcome. Right now it is Boston 3, Yankees 1, top of the 6th. Stanton is up to the plate with 1 man on, 1 man out. Definitely check us out on the R&R Sports Report Facebook or YouTube pages to watch me lose my mind. And again, I'll be throwing up Adeline every so often as the innings wind down and I need her more and more.
Students, don't forget to be sure and attend the LC State Career Fair on October 7th. That is on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Activity Center. There's something for everyone. Come prepared to network and learn about a new job or an internship opportunity. Even explore graduate schools and programs. Who knows? You may meet your future employer. Please make sure you bring your mask and socially distance during the event. Meet your next opportunity during the LC State Fall Career Fair, October 7th. That's on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Activity Center. See it there. Is that why there's all those ribbons on the parking spots as we pulled in tonight?
Probably.
I was wondering, all these ribbons tied on it.
Hold on. Is that one gone? No. Stanton, get it over the wall. I hit the wall again. Oh, my God.
Just 3-1.
It's still 3-1 because they got thrown out at home plate. That's really disappointing. Hold on.
It's okay.
Hold on. I need it.
Just breathe, Dad. The Yankees are gonna win.
I know I need to breathe. I don't know if the Yankees are going to win, but I need to breathe. That's twice he's hit the green.
We haven't got to the MLB stuff. So have you seen who I took in this game?
Yeah.
Okay, just make it sure.
I was hoping to make fun of you, but right now I can't. All right, I'm going to list off a bunch of games that happened in college football, and you can give me a couple games that you found the most interesting of the week. Arkansas, who is number 8 in the country, gets completely shut out by number 2 Georgia, 37-0. Number 5 Iowa completely destroys Maryland. That was a great pick by me, 51-14. Oregon gets stunned by Stanford, 31-24. Number 10 Florida falls to Kentucky, 20-13. Number 15 Texas A&M also falls. They lose to Mississippi State, 26-22. Alabama completely handles number 12 Ole Miss, 42-21, as they stay number 1 in the country. And number 7 Cincinnati scores 17 in the second quarter to defeat number 9 Notre Dame, 24-13. Give me your thoughts on a game or two.
For me, getting and looking, we both looked at that spread for the Arkansas-Georgia game and thought, wow, that was, at least I did. I thought it was way too much. And then Arkansas just doesn't even show up to throw the goose egg out. I mean, we knew Georgia was good, but for them to not even Arkansas not to even put any points on the board. They just looked flat the entire game. And then I'm going to keep staying on Cincinnati. I mean, I've been on Cincinnati last year too, to come in and defeat number 9 Notre Dame. Scoring 17 in the second quarter. I think those two. I think Cincinnati just doesn't get respected enough. I think they should be maybe about 5. That's about where they hang out because
what are they right now?
They were 7 last week,
look.
but it'll be interesting to
They're
see.
5 right now.
They are 5 now, so
stop
that's
complaining.
Good. That's good. But we'll look ahead at this week's as we get into our picks in a little bit. I picked the 3-4 game. So
Your top 5 right now: Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Penn State, and Cincinnati. So there you go. Obviously, we'll talk about Oregon here in a few minutes. I really thought Maryland on a short week at home would put up more of a game with Iowa. Iowa looks really, 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 really good. So that one was impressive. Alabama is so good. I never thought Ole Miss was going to win that game because Lane Kiffin getting his second chance, under the tutelage of Nick Saban, doing a great job now of bringing Ole Miss into relevance, but there's no way he was going to beat the master in that game. All right, let's get to college pick'em. Both of us go 2-3 as Gallo flies out, so Yankees only get 1 in the inning, and it should have been 3. We both went 2-3, so I still have a 2-game lead overall on 15 and 14 and 1. You're 13 and 16 and 1, but we tied. We didn't do a tiebreaker, so you, sir, have control of the board.
Well, I went back to the well. I want to see what Stanford could do. I want to see if they can prove it. So I picked the Friday night game. Right now, they will be on the road taking on number 22 Arizona State, who Arizona State is favored by 12.5. That is an ESPN game on Friday. Who do you got?
At Arizona State. Listen, Arizona State rolled over UCLA on Saturday. They beat the other ranked team in the Pac-12, while Stanford beat Oregon, and that got bigger news. Herm Edwards all the way, baby. 12.5 isn't enough.
Yeah,
Stanford's going to have a huge letdown, I think.
I think you're 100% right. They'll have a huge letdown. 12.5 is more than enough, so give me Arizona State.
Yep.
We go to Saturday morning, 9 a.m. game on FS1. West Virginia, who seems to be sputtering just a little bit, 2-3 on the season, taking on 4-1 Baylor. Baylor's overly favored by 3. Is that too little?
It might be. This was a weird game for you to pick. I had to do some research on it because I haven't watched either of these two teams at all. But absolutely give me Baylor. I think they win by double digits.
Yeah, I agree. Baylor, 100%. I figured you might go the other direction, so that's why I threw this one in there. But I think Baylor is going to be at least a 9-point win on that one. So then we go to the afternoon game on ABC. It's going to be Boise State as they travel into Utah, take on BYU, who right now is number 10 in the country. That is a 12:30 kickoff. Who do you got in that one?
Yes, and BYU has looked absolutely fantastic. They got the big win against Utah and Arizona State earlier this year. They win by 14 against Utah State. However, they are potentially down to starting their 3rd quarterback going into this game. When I was doing the research yesterday, that the coach was completely up in the air, unsure who might be available. All he could say was none of them were out for the season. Give me Boise State on the upset to knock out number 10 BYU if they have to go with their 3rd straight quarterback. A little bit of a gamble because if they can have their main guy, Hall is a very good quarterback. But I'm going to bank on them using their 3rd string quarterback and the Broncos getting the win.
I still think BYU is just the better ball club. Yes, they are favored by 5.5, so give me BYU. It is at home. It is a major game in the afternoon. That's the only thing that scares me because Boise State likes to play big games.
Mm-hmm.
They like to play really big games, and this is going to be one of those. So they can get back to 500 there. And probably the game of the weekend, by far these two ball clubs, and I had to search for the line for this one.
Where do you go where you have to search for lines?
This one, I looked in two different spots. It wasn't there, so I went someplace else, and this was the line they get. Right now, Iowa is favored by 2. Number 4, Penn State, who's 5-0, will be at Iowa, also 5-0, Saturday on Fox. Who do you got?
That's why I just go to ESPN to get my lines. Oh, man. I told you, Iowa. I bet against them last week. They were giving up a bunch of points to Maryland. I thought that Maryland could keep it close. Iowa said absolutely not. So I will not be picking against the Hawkeyes this week. Give me Iowa.
It's pretty much a no-brainer on that one. I think it is going to be Iowa as much as the country right now, and it is still 2 points. Over-under is only 40.5, so a little bit lower than normal. Right now, if you look at ESPN, Iowa is picked only 59%, so it'll be interesting as we go into that one. And the final game will be the afternoon game on ESPN, 4 p.m. It is TCU taking on Texas Tech, who is 4-1 on the season. They are favored by 1.5. Who do you got?
Who's favored by 1.5?
Texas Tech. That's so as I did them last night when we typed them in. They were 1.5.
All right, now TCU is favored by 1.5 according to ESPN. So
good change as like it did last
I don't know,
week.
but we're locking it in, whatever we were picking right now. But I will say Texas Tech -1 if that's the number you got. Either way, I'm taking Texas Tech. TCU has lost their last 2. And listen, I am all on the Bronco bandwagon for them to win because I need control of board again because you picked some weird games.
I want to make it interesting, We have to make it interesting somewhere. I'm going to look in the other place here, but give me Texas Tech also. Yeah, I think they're going to do the damage to TCU and extend it out to 5-1. So you and I only have one game different. Yeah. And it's coming down.
State.
And it's coming down to the Boise State BYU game at 12:30 on Saturday. So it's whether or not BYU can figure out who's going to be leading that team against Boise State.
I hope you go 4-1 this week, sir. All right, let's look at the Pac-12 a little bit more in depth. Again, Oregon, number 3 going into the week, losing to Stanford 31-24. UCLA was 20th coming into the week. They lose to Arizona State 42-23. Both of those teams that pulled the upsets, we said, play each other on Friday. Are the playoff hopes just completely dashed for the Pac-12?
I think so. I really do. I don't think anybody – Arizona State might get up there a little bit, but it'll be
I think it's still Oregon that you have to hope.
Yeah, you've got to hope.
Because they're still 8th. They only dropped 5 spots, which is shocking to me. But, there's enough teams that also lost.
Mm-hmm.
I just, from your eye test, we don't get to watch all of the college football games.
No.
But would you put Oregon over Michigan right now?
I haven't seen much of Michigan play.
Michigan looks pretty good. Maybe Oregon over BYU just because of the quarterback situations.
Yeah, maybe.
Michigan State and Oklahoma State are both 5-0 that are both underneath Oregon, who lost to Stanford of all teams last week. Yes, it was a close loss and it was an overtime, so you get a little bit of a leeway there, I guess. But I don't know. I think Oregon's getting some nice treatment just to keep Pac-12 in it.
Yeah, you've got 3 teams right now, 4-1. Stanford, I think they get shell-shocked this week again and get crushed. But I don't think Oregon State stays up on top much longer as they're leading the North over the Ducks. I think the Ducks will come back and take that over. But, the Huskies have been a letdown this year. The Cougs still seem to be a letdown. So Oregon might get back, but they won't make it into the playoffs, no. Unless we go to a 16 team, which is still years away. Yeah, that's what I said. It's years and years away. Yeah.
All right, let's get into some Major League Baseball. Before we get into playoff talk, Mets manager Luis Rojas is gone. That's no surprise. I'm sure we'll see a couple other managers leave here soon. We're not going to have any Clayton Kershaw this year, which is not that surprising anymore. The Kershaw's always hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get into this little bit of a discussion, and let's have some fun with it. Look at some of these teams that were eliminated and who we think are going to make the biggest moves, or who needs to make the biggest move. And you can tell me hitter or pitcher. We're not going to go into specifics until we get closer to the actual off season and look at who's actually free agents. But we'll start with your Seattle Mariners. You know, I was flipping you a lot of crap over the last few weeks, and I was very, very happy that my statement that Seattle had no chance of making the postseason months ago always stayed true.
No.
And they never had a chance to make the playoffs. They were never once in the playoffs this year. Everyone that freaks out, they tied Boston. That doesn't mean you were in the playoffs. It means you would have played 163rd game to see if you could make the playoffs. That's not being in the playoff spot. Seattle was never in the playoff spot, so they never had a chance.
You're reaching.
I'm not.
You're reaching.
They never
Stop
once
it.
did
Stop.
they make.
No, stop it.
Am I wrong?
They brought the MLB, those 4 teams that got into the AL wild card talk, made it interesting to watch.
Absolutely, they made it interesting.
So they were in contention the entire time.
They made it.
So you can't
it was
say
interesting for them, but they were never
for...
in talks. No, absolutely not. They were never in contention. They were in talks, sure.
No.
Here's this big long list. It's like that one team that, hey, if this thing happens and this thing happens and this thing happens and this thing happens, they might make the playoffs. That was Seattle forever. And 6 of those 8 things happened. But come that final Sunday, nothing went their way.
They should have won that game on
Friday. It would have been mad.
They should have won that game on Friday. They just did not. They got outplayed on Friday. But
Sunday.
Well, Sunday they just Sunday. But you can't say that they weren't in the top. They were. They were
never in it. They were never once in one of those playoff spots. Oakland was. Toronto was.
Oakland
Yankees
was
Boston
never in there. Oakland, their season went kaput like 4 weeks ago.
They were winning the division, and then they were one of those wild card teams, and then they kept going the wrong direction.
So then you're going to do that part out. Seattle led the division for a while at the very beginning of the year, right at midway point.
Since the All-Star break?
Doesn't matter. If you're going to go that far back, come on now.
Oakland was one of the wild card spots after the All-Star break. No, Seattle had a fantastic year.
Yes.
They win 90 games. They overachieved for sure. But it puts them in a very difficult situation. They have a lot of young talent. Do you just write out this young talent and let them build to a big team? Or do you use some of that young talent to get a stud?
I think they're set. I think we might lose one.
You're losing Seager.
Yeah, Seager's done. But as much as his age is caught up with him, yes, I don't see him re-signing. This could be JP's team. JP Crawford had played well, and just watching his gameplay over the last, week and a half, just defensively and what he was doing, I don't see them moving on from him. I think he has one more year on his contract, and then he's got JP. I think he's got one more year left on his contract. But I think that Seattle makes a move to get a big third baseman. I mean, they already know that Seager's gone. I think they go into free agency and try to replace Seager with a veteran. I really do.
Yeah, that worked out for him last time.
Yeah,
just saying.
I know.
Other teams, I don't think Toronto makes a big splash. I think they are tooled well. I think they go get some role players. Role players would be very, very good for them. I could see the Tigers making a big move. That was another team I think that overachieved. They kind of fell off there at the end of the year, finished with just the 77 wins. But they had a nice young core, not as solid as Seattle's, but they have a nice young core, and that division is wide open. So I could see them making a move, especially for another arm. Another team that you should be worried about is the Angels. Their pitching staff is so horrible that I guarantee you every big named pitcher that hits free agency this year, when they say the top 3 teams interested in, the Angels will be on all of them.
Yep.
And if they can get just one, maybe 2 of them, I might have the Angels as my favorite next year in the AL West. Just as good. I mean, Houston is always around.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle is a very young team that overachieved this year, but could use that as a stepping stone, and they're going to be in contention next year. The Angels finished with 77 wins, with 0 pitching staff other than Ohtani, and without Trout almost the entire year.
Yeah.
And they still almost finished 500.
My MVP prediction for the AL was Trout, and he just hurt injury. Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, who wouldn't want to go play with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout? And, it'll be interesting. Texas needs to make some major moves, but they don't have the funds near as much as...
I don't see Texas making a big move. How about in the National League? Is there a team that missed the postseason that you're going to see or make a big move or 2?
I really think Philadelphia is close. They've got to find maybe another. I think they got to find another arm. I really do. They've got to find another arm and shore up that rotation. I think they could easily be there. I mean, we talked about that division quite frequently over the past year of where they were up and down or over the past season. So I think Philly makes a move or 2.
For me, it's going to be really interesting to see what the Padres do after everything imploded for them. Do they stand pat, or do they blow up the ship already, or do they just try to overspend again and just keep trying to add on to the dumpster fire that they created?
Well, how do you go from being what we figured the 3 teams coming out to 28 games back? I mean, that
things just didn't gel. And then when things started to unravel, when you don't have that team chemistry, you're not able to put it back together. They were one of those contenders just from pure talent alone, which we see with the Yankees a lot. And everyone's like, oh, they just buy championships or whatever. They've won 1 championship since 2001, so the Yankees aren't buying anything. But what the Yankees do is exactly what the Padres do, and they bring in all these big names, and there's not that. Things just don't stick. They don't work together. I do like what the Yankees have built, and it does look like they have finally built an actual team that they're just ran by a dummy. I can't think of another one. It'd be really interesting to see what Seattle or Cincinnati does. I actually think they have a couple guys coming up on free agency, whether they bring them back. They're kind of aging right now, so to be very, very curious exactly what the Reds do. And then, of course, the Mets are the Mets, and they'll be in on everybody and only get a couple, and none of it'll work.
Xander Bogaerts scores here in the bottom of the 6th. So
talk about it.
Red Sox lead 4-1 with 2 on, 1 out.
You're finishing the show. I can't do that.
Yeah,
for the last time, our power rankings are on the R&R Sports Report Facebook page. We only talked about our top 10, which I laughed really hard when I looked. And Robert had the Braves at 12, even though they were in the playoffs.
I still think,
even though power rankings are supposed to be built on the teams you think have the best chance to win the World Series, and he thought 2 teams that did not make the playoffs still had a better chance than Atlanta, which could be true. That Atlanta doesn't have a chance, but still. Give me your final player of the week.
My player of the week has to be Trey Turner, the guy I still think might be in contention for NL MVP. He went 11 of 24. He batted .458, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, 8 runs scored, and an OPS of 1.397. So he has looked good over the last couple weeks.
He's looked great. He's been a fantastic player. For anyone saying he's been MVP, I got into this discussion with Richie, who thought if Vlad pushed Toronto to the wild card, all of a sudden he's the MVP. That should not mean anything. However, if you want to use that argument, Trey Turner was traded to a team sitting in the wild card spot, and they're still sitting in the wild card spot. Right. He didn't make that team better. He was surrounded by a lot more and was able to do more. and has had a very good season, but I don't think he was MVP. I don't even think he's top 3, but he had a very good year. For me, my player of the week, Brandon Lowe for Tampa Bay. I saw it firsthand. He had 3 home runs against the Yankees on Saturday, which then pushed the Yankees into that must-win situation on Sunday. That's 429, 5 homers, 11 RBI, 7 runs, and a 1693 OPS. Just a ridiculous into his regular season as they get ready to play the winner of the Yankees and Red Sox game, which, like you said, the Red Sox are up 3 and threatening right now in the bottom of the 6th. So we made our predictions for the AL wild card, obviously, before the game started. Of course, I took the Yankees. You being a friend of mine and supporting me all the way, picked Boston. I think that was just sour grapes based on me being completely right about your Seattle Mariners not making the postseason. But those sour grapes, I will give you credit right now, are working out for you. How about the NL wild card tomorrow? I think that one's going to be interesting. I find it actually really interesting that the Dodgers are a wild card team and are still the favorites to win the World Series.
Yeah.
But I'm taking the Dodgers. I know the Cardinals have been red hot. They have been fantastic in the month of September. Congratulations for getting here. But it's so hard to beat the Dodgers in a 1-game playoff, and you have Walker Buehler on the mound. It's gonna be tough.
I'm leaning the other way just because of what you said. Red hot, Do I think LA is getting hence screwed with only a 1-game playoff? I'm not a big proponent of the 1-game wild card.
Win the division then.
Yeah, but St. Louis, they have been extremely hot. Not knowing what Max Muncy is going, if he's going to be able to be playing tomorrow. There's lots of variables there. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and just say St. Louis wins that game just because of the streak they've been on here over the last 22 games.
All right, let's go to the divisional series. Let's start in the American League. I'm going to start with the Tampa Bay Rays, who ended up as the 1 seed. They will be taking on the winner of this Boston-New York series. You had Boston moving on, so who wins between Boston and Tampa Bay?
I think it's going to be an interesting series getting there, but I think Tampa Bay is going to they've been dominant the entire year. So give me Tampa Bay.
Give me Tampa Bay as well over my Yankees. Tampa Bay in 4 would be my predictions if the Yankees can make this comeback. If it's Boston, I also say Rays in 4. The other ALDS, the Chicago White Sox versus the Houston Astros. I know the Astros are extremely favored in this series, but I have said all year long that the White Sox were my dark horse of winning the World Series. I'm sticking with it. I think the pitching has kind of fallen off a little bit. I think the young bats never stood up or got rolling like I was hoping they would in the second half, but I still think it's a very electric team, and they're going to be a difficult out. Houston is the staple in the postseason right now. It's going to be a difficult out, but give me the White Sox in 5.
Yeah, I like that too. The White Sox, and I think we talked about it at the very beginning about what a seasoned manager brings to this team. And I think his knowledge, his as many years that he has been in playoffs, La Russa has got these guys playing quite well. So give me Chicago in that one.
Oh, we're agreeing there. Let's go to the NLDS, and let's start with the number 1 seed, the San Francisco Giants. Do not update on me again. Why does this always want to update? Stupid computer. The number 1 seed, the San Francisco Giants, a team that broke their team record for most wins in a season. I have them taking on the Dodgers. You have them taking on the Cardinals. I say the Dodgers win at 4.
I think St. Louis gets through, but I think it will be in 5, and it'll be San Francisco. I think St. Louis has just played quite well. I hope they keep playing as well they are, but San Francisco is just the best team in the MLB right now.
They're smoke and mirrors, and I don't understand how they do it, and they drive me absolutely nuts. But the Dodgers did lose Max Muncy for the year right there in the final week, so we'll see how that affects them. Just feels dirty to say the Dodgers win, but I just don't know how the Giants do it. The veteran leadership is working out beautifully for them. Then the other NLDS, the Atlanta Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers. The Braves are only here because they're in a terrible division. Congratulations to them for making it this far after losing Acuna. We all wrote them off. We had a whole segment on here. Now that the Braves lost Acuna, who wins the NL East? We picked the Nationals, and that went well for us. But
not about sour grapes. There's our sour grape part.
I don't think the Braves have what it takes to hang out with the Brewers. Give me the Brewers, and I'll say the Braves win 1. Give me the Brewers in 4.
As much as I love Trey Freeman and how he plays, the injury to Acuna just is way too much for the Braves to come back and try to even beat Milwaukee. Give me Milwaukee all the way.
All right, so that is your ALDS predictions here on the R&R Sports Report. Let's see, making sure I've gotten everything done because I've been so distracted. All right, let's get into it. Our third sports-related draft. The first week, we did our favorite college football helmets.
Right.
And I crushed you in that draft.
You think you did.
You only had 3 helmets. I had 746. So I crushed you in that draft. Last week, you got a pick, and you picked favorite college football mascots, which, again, I crushed you because you just kept picking nerds in suits.
Listen.
And I picked 3 real-life
I know
mascots.
Mary Shannon was 100% on it. Sparty, the best, the guy in to be their Michigan State. And who can forget Big Orange? Otto. Come on, Otto.
Otto would bite his knee.
You picked a bull that runs wild and dragging these guys around.
Yeah. Who wins that fight?
Ole.
The orange or the bull? Which one do you want? Sparty or Uga? And then I got the tree. I mean, the Stanford.
Oh my God.
Stanford
I think you
with their tree.
I think you picking Stanford.
Took out the duck. They were so excited that I picked them for our thing. But we're going to get off college football this week. It was my turn to pick. And I said it at the top of the show. Joe West retiring after this postseason. Possibly one of the worst managers umpires, that I have ever seen. So we are going to draft our worst MLB umpires team. So I picked the topic, which means you get to go first.
Yeah, and I've got to take. I got to take Cowboy Joe. Give me Joe West. He was known as that guy that was quick to throw somebody out. They were going to toss him as soon as something was said, man, he was ringing somebody up, throwing them out. I think he was known for his quick trigger, but he did sing some songs. He did record some music. He did that. I forget which ballpark did it, but they used his music that he recorded as walk-up music, and I don't remember. I don't remember who it was. And there was a couple of ball clubs that did that, and so.
Listen, Joe West was not the best at his job by any means. He drove me absolutely nuts, but I kind of liked his character. His stare-off with Madison Bumgarner was so stupid that I loved every second of it. At least he seemed like he was a nice guy. And he took no bull when he was on the field, but he seemed like generally Joe West off the field was a very, very nice old man who was just not a very good umpire.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I think for me, it was just how quick he didn't want to deal with certain pieces or situations. If he knew he blew a call, he was quick to retaliate against anybody that was against him. But I refresh my memory with the stare down, and I'm trying to remember the exact thing. he did not move or put his mask back on
No,
until Mad Bum was back up on the hill.
No, West
Wasn't-
finally gave up. But so if I remember correctly, Bumgarner thought he got a strike. Joe West called it a ball, which walked the batter. And while the next batter came up, West came and cleaned off the plate and then looked up, and Mad Bum, who had said a couple choice words, was just staring at him. So there was Joe West standing right next to the plate, not moving, staring right back at Bumgarner, with Buster Posey standing to the left of Joe West, just like, what is happening right now? And it went on a good 20 seconds.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was back in. I was just looking it up. It was back in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
well outside the plate, and just didn't get the call. And you see Bum just kicking the ground and all that, but it was just.
I don't know how you're going to display all this stuff, if you want to do videos or just pictures of these people, but
no,
be interesting because some of them have terrible calls. All right, let's get into my first pick. And Joe West, obvious choice, but I set you up because Joe West is not the worst umpire. That goes to Angel Hernandez.
Yeah,
Because Joe West is not a good umpire, but at least he has a little bit of a character. And again, he seems like a nice guy. Angel Hernandez is not. He seems like a jerk on the field. He seems like he's a jerk off of the field. I believe he was the one that threw out the dude during the pandemic, and it was like an owner who was the only one in the stands. And because he said something bad about Hernandez, he kicked him out saying, oh, he's not wearing a mask, which there was no one within 600 feet of him,
right,
let alone
right.
6 feet. He just wanted him gone. Angel Hernandez, like Joe West, had that quick trigger finger. And Angel Hernandez was wrong so much.
Who was the guy here just a week or two ago that kicked out the grounds crew?
Nobody kicked out the grounds crew. It was, again, that was a Yankee game against Baltimore. It was the grounds crew got ready because it was pouring hard. The umpire basically went, do not even come out here. We're finishing this game. That was basically what it is. He didn't kick them out. He just went, we're not doing this. We're not delaying this in the ninth inning. We're getting done with it. So I take Angel Hernandez. Who is number 2 for you?
For me, it's got to be CB Buckner. I mean, how can you miss a strike call 2 feet outside and call it a strike? I mean, that's the biggest thing. I believe that was against your Yankees against who was it? I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, he was known for having that strike zone that was so huge. The strike zone was nuts for Bruckner, and he never thought he was wrong. He never did. And it doesn't matter if he was behind the plate or if he missed a sliding in call for these guys. It just seemed like he wanted to be the guy of the show. When he was behind the dish, it wasn't about the two teams playing. It was him being behind the dish, and he had that arrogance about him.
Yeah, that one is fair. That was one that I was thinking about as well, which leaves me with one of the worst umpires behind the plate, and that's Las Diaz. And he is starting to kind of get that attitude as well, where he's starting to toss people for arguing balls and strikes. When, if you go to umpscorecards.com, Lance Diaz is one of the 3 worst umpires as far as balls and strikes go this year. He's only calling balls and strike at a 91.8% clip. It's not good.
Right.
Especially when everyone is calling for robot umpires, which would get it 100% of the time and kind of take the nuance out of the game. I want people back there. I want the nuance of trying to figure out what umpire has the different kinds of strike zones. That's fine. But Diaz, his strike zone will change throughout the game. And he's starting to get that attitude of an Angel Hernandez, of a Joe West that he hasn't earned yet. Mm-hmm. So Las Diaz is my second umpire. Who is your final pick?
I had to go with Jim Joyce.
And this is why I win.
Why?
Jim Joyce is a fantastic umpire who made
No,
one bad
he
mistake.
blew a call, the perfect game.
And he
yes, he
cried.
apologized.
He
cried,
felt
yes.
so bad about blowing that call, which, again, if it would have happened in the last several years, would have just been overturned. The perfect game would have moved on, but this was before instant replay. Jim Joyce is such a good dude and a very good umpire that he was more heartbroken than Detroit. He took his tongue lashings
and they
from
gave
the Tigers.
Yeah, everybody gave it to him.
Jim Leland went absolutely nuts, and understandably so. Jim Joyce took it. He knew he might have made a mistake at that point, went back and watched it, and felt way worse than Galarraga for that call. That is why I'm going to win this. Because Jim Joyce, one mistake, he's a good man. He's a good umpire. But I mean, if there's any other
no, I mean
examples,
that's for me. That was the thing. That'd be the biggest blown call. And I think where I'm at with it is because you and I are all about records. We're about how MLB has been, the nostalgia of it, and for one call by one person blow something so treasured by maybe treasured is not the word I want to look at, but for a record or an achievement to be blown that bad by a call, just and I'm not even a Detroit fan. That's the bad part.
Still Boston 4-1. Now going to the bottom of the second. Things are looking rough for me. My last pick, and again, I just went to scorecards.com. The worst umpire, according to the statistics this year, Ed Hickox, who in his 18 games behind the plate called 2,830 pitches. Out of those 2,830 pitches, 246 of them were wrong. 8.7% of the pitches he looked at, he called incorrectly. He was so bad that he was never to a point where he got more than 96% of his calls right in any game that he called.
Right.
He was always missing them, and he was all over the place. He is very, very bad.
I was just looking at it. His accuracy, according to that, they say is 91.3% of being called wrong. That's just crazy.
He is the worst as far as accuracy. He is the worst as far as consistency, which again, that is a big one for me. What was the stat I saw? He impacted a crazy amount of runs per game. What was it? 1.73 runs per game were impacted by the calls he made, according to umpscorecards.com.
Yeah, that just blows you away,
yeah.
Especially. So the question then becomes, how much longer until we see Robo out there?
Pretty soon. I
think it's sooner. I think it's sooner than later.
All right, so there you go. That is our draft for the worst MLB umpires. Robert takes Joe West, CB Buckner, and the wonderful Jim Joyce. I take the horrible Angel Hernandez, Laz Diaz, and Ed Hickox. Next week, it'll be Robert's pick to make, so tune in next Tuesday for that. Also, next week, we have to do our little mini NHL preview. Next Tuesday, NHL regular season starts. The Kraken have their first game against the Golden Knights on Tuesday night. So we will be kind of keeping our eye on that. We're not going to do a full draft like we do for the other sports. I think we'll just pick 5 each. We'll do a draft format like we always do with the other sports, but instead of picking all 30 teams, I think we'll just pick our top 10.
If I remember right, I stunk at it last year.
Well, last year it was before we started doing the draft format, which you have dominated me on every time we've done it. But we just picked conference winners or division winners, Stanley Cup, and so I did pretty well. You did not do very good, but that's okay because neither of us are huge hockey fans yet. But hopefully, with the Kraken,
I love watching the Chiefs play. Go up to Spokane. spend the evening. I mean, to watch those guys bang each other off the wall, there's something about the loud smack,
Right.
and it's just totally different. So,
all right, let's get into these sports that do not get enough airtime. We have no Aussie rules to talk about, which is disappointing. It'll be back in February, March. But until then, we still got other sports to talk about. Let's talk NASCAR. Let's talk Talladega, which got rained out on Sunday, even though if they would just put lights in Talladega, you wouldn't have to get the race in by 6 o'clock. And we could have a night race at Talladega.
it'd be
Please?
nice.
Yes, it is a 2.5 mile racetrack, but so is Daytona, and they get it done. Yes, it's Alabama, and maybe they just don't have enough electricity to go around. You can figure it out, right? Just so it gets rained out Sunday, and then had a 50% chance of rain yesterday. They get it in, get near the end of stage 2. The rain hits. They start to dry it off a little bit. The rain hits again, and I went, "Nah, we're done." But the big news out of all that, and it wasn't that Chase Elliott kind of fell off late in the race and hurt his playoff chances a little bit. I think he is currently 8th out of the 12 drivers, top 8 move on. Kyle Busch had issues as well. So Kevin Harvick on up, other than Hamlin, who won, are all really, really close. So it'll be an interesting roval next week. But the big news, Bubba Wallace getting his first ever Cup Series win, second African-American driver ever to win a Cup Series race. The first was Wendell Scott, who just finally got his trophy a couple months ago, a couple weeks, whatever his family did. Wendell Scott has passed away. But Wendell Scott won his race and wasn't even declared the winner for weeks. They were trying to find anything out of it because obviously the country was in a whole different state 50 years ago. Not that it's in the best state now, but it's better than it was 50 years ago. But the cool thing with Bubba Wallace is this is the track that everything blew up. This was NASCAR had just banned the Confederate flag, and still to this day, every race that they have had at Talladega, people drive around the track flying that
Confederate flag.
I'm trying to be nice, trying to be politically correct on a college radio station, but you still see it, and the stuff that Bubba has to go through day in and day out. I don't care if you like Bubba or don't like Bubba. The story is just absolutely cool. What happened at the track, it was Talladega where the noose was found. Obviously, it was FBI showed there was no malice. It was just one of those instances that happened. Again, anyone that blames Bubba for that, Bubba was never even in that garage when it was found. He was told about it after the fact. It was NASCAR that made the thing. I was proud of what NASCAR did about the situation and all the drivers coming together. Still, cool win for Bubba. Oh, yeah. So happy for him. And watching him for that 45 minutes from when the rain hit, like trying to get anyone to do a rain dance and not letting anyone jinx it for him. It was a cool moment in Alabama.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it, but I he was one of my picks that I had thought that was going to be a decent driver this last year, and I'm glad he finally got that first race, and I'm excited to see what him and the Jordan team can do coming into this.
Yeah, they get Kurt Busch next year.
Yep.
So it'll help them out for sure. So one race left before we get to the final 8. It is the Charlotte Roval. We predict Chase Elliott to win. I think it's going to be either Elliott, Larson, or Truex who would be your front runners in that race. All right, what happened in golf, sir?
The fall tournaments are going on, so a lot of the players are still staying active. Sam Burns comes away with his second PGA title, shooting 22 under. He made 4 birdies on 11, 13, 14, and 15. And even bogeyed 18 to still win by 1 stroke over Cameron Young and Nick Waney. So we see a little bit more and more of these guys still staying active in the fall for different tournaments. So great showing for Sam Burns as he gets his second win. Joel Damon also finishes at 9 under. He is tied for 51, but it's good to see him out playing. I know we're getting ready to go into stat of the week, but how about Bryson DeChambeau I know you as much we both dislike him,
Yeah.
and we've been told stories about him
Mhm.
on air, off air. But I didn't see where he finished Sunday, but made his way to the
That's not the news I
finals.
thought you were talking about.
No, making it for playing, in the long drive competition down there in Mesquite. I mean, he was crushing some
He
balls.
can crush the ball, but I could care less. The news that I was excited to hear is we're having the 5th edition of the match on TNT. I'm a little disappointed it's only 12 holes, but that thing lasts for so long. I think they had to cut it because every time we have the match, it seems like it takes 18 hours. It's longer than a Yankee Red Sox game. But it is the rivalry. Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, one-on-one. Hopefully some trash talk. They will be nice to each other because it's on live TV.
Right.
But I want some trash talk between the two.
Yeah, and it's going to happen in Vegas of all places.
Mhm.
So, all right, big odds. Let's get there and do it. So it'll be interesting to see how those two play. Maybe they can finally have a nice adult beverage together before it happens. Maybe not, but who knows?
All right,
so much drama. Too much drama.
It is time for me to watch some more baseball and for you to tell us this week in sports history.
This week in sports history for the week of September 29th through October 5th. And I tried to stay in the 1980s and above, so we'll stay there. 1984, Western Michigan kicker Mike Prindle sets the record for kicking 7 field goals in a win over Marshall. I threw in a little tennis for you. 1991, Steffi Graf becomes the youngest woman to win 500 matches as a professional when she beats Petra Langrova from Czechoslovakia 6-0, 6-love, 6-1. 1997, for the first time in Major League history, team hits 3 consecutive home runs in a playoff game. Tim Raines, Derek Jeter, and Paulie O'Neill, some of your Yankees there. And they go back to back against the Indians in that one. 1998, Ricky Williams rushes for a school record 350 yards and 5 touchdowns to set the NCAA record with 65 career rushing touchdowns as Texas defeats Iowa State 54-33. 2001, Ricky Henderson of the Padres at that time breaks Ty Cobb's record to become the leading run scorer in baseball history with 2,246 runs. Let's see. As much as I don't like him, I'm going to bring him up anyway. Barry Bonds hits his 71st and 72nd home runs of the season, breaking Mark McGwire's record. And let's do a couple of Seattle ones. 2002, Seattle Seahawks running back Sean Alexander sets the NFL record for touchdowns in a half by finding the end zone 5 times against the Vikings. And always a big one, and I always bring it up. I did last year. I remember it. 2004, Ichiro Suzuki sets major league record for hits in a season, breaking George Sisler's 84-year record for most hits in a season. And 2006, Tennessee Titans defensive tackle Albert Hainsworth, do you remember this one?
Yes.
Is given a 5-game suspension, the longest one for on-field behavior in NFL history, by stomping Dallas Cowboys center in the head and kicking him in the face. So
crazy. All right, trivia time.
I'm going to dive back into baseball. Are you okay with that?
Well, I don't know right now.
All right. I know
baseball, it looks like it's almost over for me.
It might be, but you never know. All right. Here a minute ago, I said Ricky Henderson of the Padres at that time breaks Ty Cobb's record for becoming the leading run scorer in baseball history.
Yeah.
There are 8 players on the list that have over 2,000 runs. We know Ty Cobb and Ricky Henderson are 1 and 2. Can you name any? Can you? I'm gonna keep it broad. Can you name 3 of the 6 that remain on this list?
Man, that's so hard. Pete Rose.
Pete Rose is on there. 2,165.
He had so many hits.
But we're talking runs, so
I know, but when you get hits, you're going
Yep.
to score runs. He played a long time. Derek Jeter
no, sir.
did not get up there. Oh, God. Who else played really, really long? Oh, and nothing wants to come to my head. How about Mickey Mantle?
No, sir.
How about Ichiro?
No, sir.
How about Barry Bonds?
Barry Bonds. I did add this because of Barry Bonds.
Because you
Barry
had
Bonds.
700 home runs. You got to
Yeah.
score a bunch of runs.
Barry Bonds was third on the list with 2,227.
How about Pujols?
No, sir.
No, I don't know.
No.
I'm out.
He is the leading active person, but
Yeah.
he's still like 40 runs from there. Barry Bonds is number 3. Hank Aaron, 2001 to
Another one with a
74,
bunch of home runs. Yep.
and he is tied with Babe Ruth. They have the same
I
amount.
almost went Babe Ruth for the home run deal as well.
I think you're going to be shocked by the last two. Willie Mays with 2,068,
No, that's wrong.
number 7, and then number 8, your favorite player in the whole wide world with 2,021, Alex Rodriguez.
I went with the other Yankee with Jeter, but A-Rod makes more sense again because of the home runs. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. Right now, Boston's still leading 4-1.
Yeah, look at that,
and
Parker.
threatening right now.
Thank you, Parker. He does say go Mariners. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's already jumping ship, I guess, because things aren't looking great. Let's see. What do we got on the docket? Tomorrow, you're going to post.
I haven't figured out if we're going to do videos, and I'll do 6 different videos, or if we're going to
Just
do.
the picture. We will see. But we are going to put. We gotta figure out a way to make it a poll, but Facebook always drives me nuts
Love
with
it.
that thing. About who's going to win our worst umpire draft. So go check that out. On Thursday, you will see all of our NFL picks for the week. I believe you got me by 3
2
games.
games.
Is it
2
2 or 3? You got
2
me by
games.
1 last week.
Yeah, I have not done it this week. I think I moved back into 3. I have not finished it.
Yeah,
for
I
this
can't
week
remember. So you were up to it. You got me by
Right.
1 because we had
Right.
3 games different, and I know I won 1 of them. So you have a 3-game lead on me there. We'll have the rest of those up. We already know that we are different on Thursday night. I'm taking the Seahawks at home. He's taking the Rams. Don't forget, check out our final MLB power rankings that came out on Monday. I posted the NFL power rankings about an hour or 2 before we started the show. So check those out as well. Go check out the kickoff on W2M Network. Eric and Harry are always big supporters of this show, so I always want to give them a shout out as well.
Even with Eric and them talking and Sean talking football.
Well, that's a whole different show.
Right.
I'm not shouting out a football podcast just because I forget what it was called. But I want to leave the show as it is the bottom of the 7th. Yankees down 4-1. Red Sox with 2 on, 2 out. We're going to leave the show for those that are watching on our YouTube and Facebook pages one more time with my daughter trying to calm me down. Thank you, Adeline.
Just believe, Dad. The Yankees are gonna win. Let's go Yankees!
Don't play it again. All right. But that's Adeline. That's my 4-year-old daughter. Thank her so much for helping me out. Yes, Haley, breathe, Dad. I need it. I need it all. That's my daughter, Adeline. Thank you so much. That's Robert. I'm Randy, and we are